when you're imagining fake scenarios. So I'm pretty sure this is like a kind of a universal feeling of like everybody tries to like imagine or maybe daydreams or like thinks about like certain scenarios that might happen in your life or things that could happen, you know what I mean? Like, I always had a pretty good imagination as a kid. I think most kids are like very creative and they have like a bunch of ideas and creativity in their minds and they come up with like imaginary friends and like scenarios. But the difference between like me as a kid then was that like my scenarios would be like I'm Spider-Man, you know what I mean? Or like I go to space and I find aliens, or like I get to hang out with dinosaurs and time travel, like that stuff. And all of that is still very much like, oh, that's cool, you know what I mean? To like imagine or to think about, you know? But my imagination is a lot more focused. When I think of fake scenarios, I guess growing up you're kind of like, okay, like how can I make it more realistic? You know what I mean? Like how can we make our imagination, our ideas more plausible and real? And so for me, I don't know. I guess this is also pretty universal. Or like I feel like a lot of guys have the same kind of like thought or have thought of the same exact scenario where it's like, hey, what would happen? What would I do? Or like, how would I handle like a school shooter? You know what I mean? Like, how would I deal with that? Like, they come into my school and they just bring out a gun. They're like, everybody get on the, you know what I mean? Like, everybody get down. Or they just start blasting and start shooting. Like, what would I do? You know what I mean? What would be my exit strategy? How would I take out the guy? Right? Like, how would I fight him and take him down and stuff like that? Like, I used to have that. I used to think about that a lot when I was in high school. I used to be like, man. I was like, if somebody came in and I was like, cause my school had like 2 floors, so it was like the upstairs and the downstairs. I was like, if they came in from upstairs and they tried to like kill people, I would be like, I would grab his wrist, right? And then I would try to push him out of the guy out of the classroom, right? And then my first priority is to first get the gun out of the room and get everybody time to escape. But then my next step is to like, get rid of the gun or like empty the bullets, you know what I mean? Like figure out how I can like get him to pull the trigger or for myself to pull the trigger or get it out of his hand and then like throw it over because then he can't reach it. And then or take the gun away from him and then like push him over the second story, you know what I mean? And let him fall down to his death or whatever. Just like kind of like or paralyze him, you know what I mean? He breaks his back or whatever, he can't move anymore. And then like I'm a hero, you know what I mean? Like I get that all the time and I was thinking about that today. I was just like, man, I thought about it and I was realistically like, would I have done it? Like you never know until you're in the situation, right? Like I feel like I would have been like I would have been ready to go. I would have fought, you know what I mean? But like obviously the situation did not present itself. And so, you know, you never know until you're in that situation. But like I always think about how funny or like how crazy to think about that kind of stuff was. And like you know, not to make light of it or like not to make it feel like a joke, because it is real, you know what I mean? It obviously happens, and it's not anything to like play around with or to be like dream of it happening so you could be like a hero and stuff like that. But it was just a thought, you know what I mean? And it's one of those moments where it's like now it's not like in a controlled environment, you know? Because like when I would think about it, I would be like, oh, I'm at school, you know what I mean? So like I know the full layout of the school and like of what's going on. Nowadays, it's like now that you're outside of school, it's like, man, it could happen anywhere, and I might not know what to do or like have the advantages I think I have, you know what I mean? So like if I'm out at a restaurant or like if I'm out wherever, I may not have the same kind of like mentality or like I might not be in the same go kind of situation, you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those weird moments where it's like imagine there's like a shooter at the restaurant, right? And then you're like, I have to go use the bathroom, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like in Pulp Fiction where like John Travolta is like, I'm gonna go use the bathroom, and then like the people start, you know, putting their guns up and trying to like steal and rob the place, rob the restaurant, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, yeah, that that's unfortunate, you know what I mean? But imagine if he didn't have I'm trying to think of the character's name. I know it's Samuel L. Jackson, but what's the Jules? No. Anyways, if he didn't have Samuel L. Jackson in there, right, like keeping the situation calm and neat, you know what I mean? It's so funny to think about that movie in particular. But anyways, something like that happens, and then you come out and you're like, oh snap, I gotta fight for my life here. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff is funny. Just like unfortunate timing of certain things, right? Like imagine you're a Navy SEAL. You know what I mean? Like you're the baddest of the badasses out there every single day, fighting for this country, fighting for justice or what's right. You know what I mean? Like you're incredible at what you do, right? You're tactical, you're smart, you're powerful. You know how to take apart and put together a weapon in like 5 seconds. You know what I mean? And then one day, nature calls, and you're like, I got to go use the bathroom. You go use the bathroom, and then somebody's like, all right, now we're going to start killing everybody. And they start killing everybody there. And then, like, you're in the bathroom, and so somebody busts in there. They're like, freeze! And then they shoot you, and they, you know, or they don't say freeze, but they're like, we gotcha! And they shoot the guy. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just unfortunate. Like, even the best, most trained, skilled person out there won't be able to, like, survive. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. It's like, it doesn't matter how great you are or how strong or how skilled you are at something, right? Like, well, it's kind of funny to think about, like, what if John Wick used the bathroom and, like, he got killed while he was using it? Like, that's actually a pretty smart, like, I don't know. I watched all the John Wick movies. I don't think I've seen him use the bathroom in any of those films. I don't remember. But, like, obviously they don't show it because that's not the interesting part. It's him fighting. But, like, imagine he's just, like, caught off guard in the wrong place at the wrong time, and somebody tries to kill him, but he gets out of it. Like, that's true skill right there, right? Because it's not like he knows what's going on. It's unexpected, and yet he still finds a way to kill the bad guys and make it through to the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real dedication. Like, that's real power to be able to, like, in any situation, you know, no matter what, you're able to get out of it. But John Wick, obviously, he always gets like he always got a toolie on him. He's always got a blicky on him. He's always carrying that strap on his waist, you know what I mean? He's got some sort of gun, some sort of weapon, some way of fighting, you know what I mean? That or his hands. His hands are weapons too. But anyways, back to my point. It makes me think about, like, scenarios where it's like, if I was in John Wick's situation, I would just, like, I don't know. You think you would do you think you would do what he does, but then until you're in the actual moment, it's kind of like, okay, let's see if we can figure out, like, how it would more align with my ideas, you know what I mean? Because John Wick just kills everybody, and me, I don't want to kill anybody, so if some violence is necessary, I'm gonna Batman it, you know what I mean? I have to, you know what I'm saying? Instead of, like, he has, like, this bulletproof suit, I'll just be like, yo, I just need, like, a Batman suit or something. You know what I mean? Just, I don't know. Just trying to think of all the different fake scenarios I could put myself into, because it's kind of funny to think of, like, those action hero movies like John Wick, or, like, you know, or like those Jason Statham movies where it's like he's a badass who just kills everybody and fights his way out until the end, you know? And thinking about it from, like, a realistic perspective, it's like, this would never happen, you know what I mean? But, like, in a made-up scenario, you know, it all works out. But anyways, um, I think about like Fast and Furiousing it. You know what I mean? Like doing a Fast and Furious style. That's kind of funny to think about. Is that you can like street race or drag race, or you could like do all of the crazy things that they do in the Fast and Furious movies, and then just get away with it. You know what I mean? You never once thought about like what would happen if you just started like going crazy on the road? Because I've thought about it. I've been like, you know what? What if I just said, you know what? Forget all of this. I'm just going to start like racing, like driving for real. You know what I mean? Like really going crazy on it. And just like disobeying the laws and just driving on the road like I own it and there's nothing nobody can tell me, or like I'm in a high speed chase with the police. I thought about that a lot. Or like what I would do in a high speed chase with the police. And I've often been like, yo, all I have to do is I have to do this, and then I have to get out of the car, and then I have to go to another car and then start speed and then just like drive regularly. You know what I mean? I have I've thought about well, after those Mission Impossible movies, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be crazy if there was like a airplane chase, you know what I mean? Or the helicopter chase that they do, like that's insane. That kind of stuff is cool too. Thinking about like um what's it called? Like one of those reality TV shows, and I just go on there and just act like the craziest guy on the show, and I'm so crazy that it's like the producers are like they're loving it. They're like, we need to keep this guy on. He's a wild card. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the part of the fun of the show is that like you always have that one person that's like crazy you keep in the show. Like if it's all just a bunch of nice guys on the show, then it's like, oh, this sucks, this is boring. You know what I mean? You need a little bit of antagonism to like keep the story going, to keep it flowing, right? So I've often thought about like, you know what, if I was on that show, I'd be like, screw it, I'm not gonna be me. You know what I mean? It's reality TV, it's fake. You know what I mean? It's like I don't have to be me. I could be an angrier, meaner version of myself, and then I'll be able to. The ratings will go through the roof. You know what I'm saying? Like I've often thought about like if I was on those reality TV shows where it's like the whatever, like Love Island or The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I think The Bachelorette's the one with the guys like going after one girl. Stuff, you know, stuff like that, like those love reality TV shows and the contests and whatnot. Like that's crazy. And do you guys remember that TV show called Naked and Afraid? Or like, yeah, they put like a guy and a girl naked in the woods, and I was just like, what the hell is the point of this? Like, they're gonna what? They're gonna do it in the island, like to survive, to stay warm. Like I was not like understanding like what's exciting about this. You know what I mean? It's like first of all they blur all the nudity, so you can't even enjoy it. You know what I mean? I'm talking mostly for the girl. I don't care about looking at the guy's thing. But you know what I mean? Like I'm just like I'm standing there and I'm watching. I'm like, all right. So the main drive of the show is that they're supposed to be naked and they're blurring it, obviously for TV purposes. But I'm like, if that's the case, then just take away the naked part. Like, what's the point of that? You know what I mean? I was like, that's so stupid. But I did watch it, like the first episode or two, and I was just kind of like, so they're just out there in the woods naked. I was like, this is so stupid. And like right away, the guy and the girl are just like, all right, take a look, get it all out of your system. You know what I mean? She was just like, she did like a 360 twirl on the guy, and she's like, woo, look at me. And I was just kind of like, bro, what? And then she was like looking at him, and she was just like, okay. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, damn, they just completely like went over that. All right, whatever. And so then I guess part of the allure is that like they have to start at the bottom. You know what I mean? But I was always just like, what a stupid show. I didn't get it. Maybe that's why it didn't last as long as it did. But whatever. Moving on. Is there another fake scenario? I mean, Oh, like being trapped in a video game? I thought about that, like from Sword Art Online. Yeah, dude. I thought about that. I've been like, what if I was trapped in a video game and I had like all of these new abilities and powers and I could do like all of this stuff in the game, you know what I mean? I thought about that. I feel like that's a pretty common idea or like thought. What else is there? I mean, I thought about like what if I was like, oh, how if I was like, if I was president and I would just start my first day with being like, all right, I'm going to reveal all of the national secrets on live TV. You know what I mean? Just be like, I'm going to reveal it all tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like in a live broadcast and just be like, all right, everybody, buckle up. We're about to read the JFK files. You know what I mean? Like the real. And then I was going to just abuse my power nationally to like tell people, get people in on the truth. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's some law against it or like something that's like, hey man, we can't do that. You know what I mean? That's against the rules. But whatever, you know? And then what else is there? I mean, if you can dream it, you can think about almost any fake scenario you can put yourself in. But I've always kind of like, I don't know. I guess it kind of keeps the imagination alive when you start to be like, all right, let me start putting two and two pieces together. Because that's all what like TV shows and movies are, right? Is people like coming up with like fake scenarios and being like, ooh, yeah, what if we did this? And what if this person was like this or like that and stuff like that, you know? It's like, what if there was a serial killer, but he kills other serial killers? You know what I mean? It's like, what the, that just, it's funny to think about. And it's also just like, it's brilliant. So all you have to do is come up with like a funny fake scenario and then like tie it all together and then write it out and then get actors to act in it and a studio to back it up and stuff, you know? So I guess what I'm really saying is that like when you're imagining fake scenarios, put pen to paper or hand to keyboard and start typing and writing away and make sure you hold on to some ideas because they could come in handy later on in the future. You know what I mean? It'd be pretty funny. But anyways, yeah, I also thought about like, what if everything got like, I thought about like, what if everything in the world kind of like grew like 2 times as large? You know what I mean? Except for like humans. So it wouldn't be like, I don't know. It wouldn't be like all the animals or the humans get bigger by twice as large. It's just that like the world, the plants, the water, the oceans, the mountains, everything else, they grow twice in size. And like we have a bigger planet than what we usually have. You know what I mean? Anyways, stuff like that. The imaginary fake scenarios. When you're imagining fake scenarios, I think I honestly kind of like hearing them. Or I like hearing people like come out with like their different thoughts and ideas or like stuff like that. So tell a friend. I think I think that'd be pretty funny if you're like just being like, hey, have you ever thought about what you would do if there was like somebody came in to like rob the place, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I think it's pretty funny. So anyways, that's it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.